It's like to the movies. Whoa. It's like to the movies. Whoa. Except I was going to really draw it out and make it like really hurt.
Is this your theme song?
I like it.
Yeah. No, that's the theme song.
I can summarize the movie in 10 seconds.
We're not there yet. Oh my God.
Should we all do our best Boston accents?
No, let me intro the damn show.
We're literally from the Boston area.
As you guys know, I don't know how to start the podcast yet, so
Do it in a
Park
Boston
the
accent.
car in Harvard Yard.
I'll either
Hey, guy.
do an a cappella version of Shipping Up to Boston by Dropkick Murphys, or maybe something like, welcome to Late to the Movies. I'm Ben Hull, and this is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Every week, we pick a movie that either I or a guest hadn't seen before, but really should have by now. This week, we're doing the next installment in Best Picture Winner Month in honor of the Oscars happening on March 27th. This week, the movie is 2006's winner, which of course was announced in 2007 because this, it's hard to say a year. I think it's the 79th, so we'll say the 79th Oscars. The winner that year, The Departed. So yeah, I'm the guy that does the podcast. These must be the other guys. That's from the movie.
Oh.
Sorry, I should have done it more like Mark Wahlberg.
We don't know as much as you.
It's just a line in the movie. You just watch the movie.
I don't have a memory.
It wasn't like a podcast.
I'm the guy who does his job. You must be the other guy.
That wasn't even like a main line. I feel
That's
like.
a great line.
I remember the line.
That's a great line.
Yeah, I mean, now that you say it, I'm like, okay, but it's not something I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna remember that one tomorrow.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to have some varied opinions on this one. Anyway, I'm the guy that does the podcast. These must be the other guys. By which I mean my guest this week, left to right, it's Pat.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, Pat. High energy. I love it. Robbie.
What up, kid?
All right. And Cory.
Hey, it's Cory.
Everyone coming back. This is only Pat's second episode after Die Hard, but I'm hoping a little bit of that magic will come back again because that is by far our most listened to episode.
Hell yeah.
So good job, Pat. You really got out on the streets. You spread the word, made sure everyone tuned in, and I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to that happening again.
Yeah, call my boys in Hollywood.
That's right. Got them all ringing the phones. It's great. Before we start talking about the movie, though, let's talk about what you guys have been watching. Have you guys seen anything fun recently?
I have. I binged The Good Place, and it was fantastic. It's
Nice.
highly awarded, highly nominated, and I think it was a fantastic show. So I can't recommend that highly enough.
Nice. I love The Good Place.
Oh, good. We'll talk about that later.
Cool.
I have only watched The Departed and YouTube.
Nice.
A little bit of anime too.
Oh, okay,
but
cool.
Classic.
Yeah. Pat?
Chrissy and I just finished catching up on the Peaky Blinders on Netflix.
Oh, nice.
We haven't seen, like, it just started releasing the last season, so we haven't seen any of that yet, but we just finished season 5 not too long ago, and it's fantastic if anyone hasn't seen Peaky Blinders.
I've never gotten into it, but I really like Cillian Murphy.
He's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
He's a
he's
badass
so
in that
good.
show.
I didn't like the name, so I never watched it.
It's a stupid name.
Yeah.
but the
I was like,
name is
that sounds
based
dumb. I
It's
don't even know
based
what
on
it's
a real
about.
gang, so it's not like this
Oh.
made up name that they came up with.
They were called the Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
This is not like a drama of like a high school drama show. I have no idea what this is about.
thought it
I was
was
like
like High
Peaky
School
Blinders.
Musical?
It sounds like the
Oh, it looks
follow up
like-
to Mean Girls, which I would watch.
I can't remember the decade, but it's either late 1800s or early 1900s, and it's about like a gang in England of Irish descent. And
Oh,
Do they explain what Peaky Blinders means? Is that like an actual?
it's the name of their gang.
it's the UK. You know, I had Peaky Blinders.
And
that
the
wasn't
gang is based off
an
of
accent.
a real life gang. I think a lot of the characters are based on real life people.
Huh.
It's super good. It's only 6 episodes a season, so it's a super easy watch. Yeah, it's really critically acclaimed, and the second to last season was fantastic. So I'm excited to see what happens in the last season.
So, a gang of Irish descent in a different country besides Ireland assimilating. There must be another movie like that. I don't know. Let's talk about The Departed.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll never.
What
watch
about
it.
you, Ben? What have you been watching?
JK. So I've been watching the music video for the Macarena. I've watched it like 8 times this week. You guys ever read the lyrics to the Macarena?
No, but I'm
I
going
don't think
to.
I've ever understood the lyrics of the Macarena.
Well, the part that's in
Macarena.
that part, yeah, the part that's in English is the first verse is a girl saying like, "When I dance, they call me Macarena,"
okay.
and basically all the boys want to dance up on her, but they can't have her. But then she says, "But if they're good at dancing, okay, maybe." And then the second verse after the first chorus, which is the only part of the Macarena people remember. In case you're young, late 1996, early 1997, there was this international dance craze called the Macarena. If you've gone to a wedding, you've done it recently. And then the second verse, she introduces the fact that she has a boyfriend and refers to him as the boy whose name is Vittorino, which is such like a detached way to refer to your boyfriend. Then she says she fucking hates this guy, can't stand him. When he was out of town, she had a threesome with his friends.
Hey Macarena.
Hey Macarena.
Hey.
I danced to that in elementary school. I'm assuming it was an edited version, but there's only 2 verses.
Is that in English?
Yes.
Wow.
All right.
I didn't even know there was verses.
She says, "Don't worry about my boyfriend, the boy whose name is Vittorino." Like, I don't even know this guy. Apparently this is his name. I didn't want him, couldn't stand him. And then she trails off laughing. And then there's a spoken word verse that she says, "What was I supposed to do? He was out of town and his 2 friends were so fine." And then it goes back to the chorus. It's like, I don't fucking remember that.
Who sings that song?
Just
they have any other hits?
it's a one-hit wonder.
Okay.
Wow.
But I mean,
It's a wonder, all right.
famously that song came out in like 93 and then it pops off in 96. And imagine if you're Vittorino and you didn't know for like those 3 or 4 years until it became the biggest song in the world. He got Real Life Scotty Doesn't Know It. I just,
And he's
I've been
famous.
obsessed
He's
with it.
famous now, though, so he can't be upset.
Apparently not. I didn't remember that part of the
Yeah,
song.
true. I don't.
It's the worst of all worlds for our boy Vittorino. But aside from that, because I'll probably cut all that out.
Wait, no, that needs to go in there.
L in
The people
chat
need to
for
hear.
Vittorino.
I know that guy's got.
That's quality content you can't find anywhere. Who else is talking about Macarena right now?
And I had no idea. That's
No
a good
one.
trivia fact.
Thank
It's like
you.
a ring around the rosy situation. But I never knew that about the Macarena.
Yeah,
I
it's
definitely did that shit in elementary
Macarena
school, too.
actually about the bubonic plague.
Wait, what about Ring Around the Rosie?
It's that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pocket full of posies, ashes,
I don't-
ashes. We all fall down.
Oh, shit.
They
I
carried
didn't realize
posies
how fucked up that
to
was.
smell because of the dead bodies. So it was like a natural perfume.
Why do we...
So yeah, because, well, confront your own mortality. Take it on the chin like a champ.
All right, well, speak of mortality.
The
Departed.
Segues.
We keep almost getting. Yeah, I guess we can go into it now.
You're welcome.
Robbie, you hadn't seen this before, or at least not enough to qualify for the premise of the show.
I've seen none of it. The only
Okay,
thing I've
perfect.
seen is a gif of Jack Nicholson beating the guy's arm. So like,
Are you still a cop? We're gonna have fun tonight. Let me bring out my clock. Man, so many texts. I'm so popular. Sorry, guys. I can't help it.
that's it. I'm out.
Is it your agent?
It's my agent. He wants me to do the Dropkick Murphy song again.
Did not realize that was what you were doing at first.
I don't know. It was a pitch perfect version of it, so I don't know what you're talking about. So Robbie, unless you really don't want to, we can put a minute on the clock.
All right, let's do it.
All right, whenever you're ready.
So, Departed is about a Irish gang in Southie Boston that has one member who is like raised as a kid to be a part of the gang. Jack Nicholson's character really like kind of integrates him quick, gets him into the police, kind of gives him tips to like fast track his career. You got Leo's character on the other side. He is somebody that came from like a rough mob family, but really like was raised to have good morals and kind of get out of that. And he also goes to the police. They immediately use
30
this
seconds.
as a intro to get him into a gang. A bunch of crazy shit happens where it's a cat and mouse game between 2 rats in rival positions within the police and within the gang, trying to kind of catch each other. And it kind of just culminates with both of them being attracted to the same psychologist and then kind of splitting off. And at the end, they just all fucking die.
Okay. That's
Nailed it.
pretty much The Departed. So this comes out in 2006. It's Oscar month, so we'll be looking at it through that prism too. But just straight off the top, we should say, if you've been listening to the show, you know I normally try and cut out a lot of the F-bombs and swears from the show, but
Oops.
it's going to be really hard this week.
Fucking editors.
This movie has 283.
Hey, guy, what the fuck are you doing?
This movie has 283 uses of the F word in one or many
That's
of
half
its
as many as the
versions.
podcast.
Yeah, usually, yeah. That's why it takes so long to edit these episodes.
None were unnecessary though.
You could just tell us not to swear.
It's too late.
I mean, like,
We've come too far.
A precedent's been set.
all right.
But yeah, I think that so just a content warning towards ish the top. There's going to be more swearing in this episode because we're going to quote the movie, and
Fucking right.
Does that mean I can say the C word?
I wouldn't.
I don't want
Couch?
Couch, yeah. Main players in this one: Martin Scorcese directing, Leonardo DiCaprio playing William Costigan or Bill or Billy, whatever. They say his name a lot more than Matt Damon. His name is Colin.
Okay, no clue about that.
Colin Sullivan, very Irish. So Matt Damon is the mole from Jack Nicholson's crew that is on the inside at SIU in the state police department. Leo is the guy who is sort of grew up in between worlds, code switching between Southie Boston and the North Shore when he was with his mom and then his dad on the weekends in Southie. So they pull him up to go undercover on behalf of the cops into Frank Costello, that's Jack Nicholson's crew. Those are really the main players. Mark Wahlberg is notably the staff sergeant in SIU, who works with Matt Damon kind of antagonistically. Alec Baldwin's also there.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe that.
Yeah, Alec Baldwin's also there. I think he's really good, but he's just a smaller part. Martin Sheen, I should probably have been mentioned first. He's playing the head of the CI program that DiCaprio's in, the undercover program that, him and Wahlberg are the only people who know that DiCaprio is an undercover cop. Is there anyone else? DiCaprio is the third person who knows.
Yeah.
Vera Farmiga plays I guess like a psychologist for the state who mostly cops who have some kind of post-traumatic stress go to see
Service-related shooting.
Yeah, I think it's like by statute they have to go see her after discharging a weapon, right?
Yep.
Something like that. And she probably should ask more questions why she's seeing this random guy.
Oh,
who's
no.
arson
He was
he was court ordered,
probation.
right? Yeah, he was court ordered, right? Okay.
So she deals with both sides of the aisle kind of thing.
Yep. He was court ordered. Never mind. Anyone else we're missing? There's so many people who
Anthony
are just
Anderson's
guys.
in it. Anthony Anderson.
Yeah, Anthony Anderson is in it. Yeah, there's so many people who are just
Small,
fucking guys.
kind of smallish role for him, but
Pretty important though.
very important. Yeah, he's in the beginning and the end.
Almost helps Leo not die, but then not quite.
No.
Is that the last dude that shoots a gun?
No, so Anthony Anderson's
I don't know what that is.
the black guy.
from Scary
okay,
Movie.
Yeah. You're a black guy in Boston. You don't need my help getting fucked.
I had that. That was one of my very few notes. Is like, you're a black guy in Boston. You don't need my help getting fucked. I thought that was like classic '80s quote.
Insert any city in America.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. Boston was especially bad though during those times, from what I've heard.
Yeah. So it starts with kind of it sets you up with Nicholson as Frank Costello is already established, but Matt Damon as a kid in like the 80s, I guess is when it starts. And then you fast forward to he's graduating state police in present-ish day.
Oh,
So,
I
yeah.
didn't even put that together. I was
They have
putting it
cell
as like a
phones.
old, like yeah. Probably like late '90s. It looked like.
Yeah,
based on those phones.
perfect. No, I think it's just present day. That's just,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because of the cell phones, you can kind of tell based
Yeah,
on
they
the
were
cell phones in the
texting
movie.
and stuff.
Yeah, but those were flip phones. I mean, we didn't have those till like, eighth grade. Like after eighth grade, everybody was using razors.
We
You
were
know.
in 8th grade in like 2000.
Yeah, we were in,
Shit.
yeah, 2000.
Yeah, we're old as
Man.
hell.
God damn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. I'm glad we got it squared away. It would have been confusing the rest of the time. All right, let's talk though. We don't want to just hear me monologue. Or I can sing the Dropkick Murphys again, but we can get into it.
Sing it.
One of two songs in this movie that are used twice. The other one being "Gimme Shelter" by the Rolling Stones.
Great fucking soundtrack.
The third time that Martin Scorsese's used "Give Me Shelter" in a movie.
What were the other times? Let us know.
Goodfellas and Casino.
Wow. You tried to put Ben on blast, dude.
No, I just genuinely didn't know.
Yeah.
I knew Ben would know. He knows everything.
So looking at this through the prism of it being a Best Picture winner, which Scorsese was surprised by because it's pretty brutal and it's usually not the kind of thing the Oscars go for. he had been nominated for Best Director. This was his 6th time. He hadn't won before. And this is still his only win. He's not been nominated 3 more times since then. Counting movies he's produced that have been nominated for Best Picture, I think he has 14 nominations and just 1 win. His Best Director for this movie. He wasn't technically a listed producer, so he didn't get a statue for the Best Picture win. Yeah, so that's, I think, all the context we need. What's your favorite time that Mark Wahlberg swears at someone?
I don't know if I have a favorite.
Yeah,
My
they're
first
all
note is, damn, hard N-word off the rip.
Off the rip.
Yeah,
It was like 3 seconds, and I was like, whoa, whoa.
same exact. That was my first note. Was that my second note was gross because it was when Jack Nicholson asked the girl if she had her period yet.
My second note was, this dude is the definition of misogynistic.
There you go.
Yeah, so Nicholson playing Frank Costello, vaguely based on Whitey Bulger, except Nicholson refused to wear a Red Sox hat in the movie.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, is he from like New York or something?
Yeah, he wore a Yankees hat instead.
Gotcha.
He's also a big Lakers fan, so he's just one of those guys. He's a total front runner, whatever. So
Surprised they still let him film the movie
yeah, this is our 3rd Nicholson movie, actually.
in our hood.
We've got
Wide range of Nicholson.
Yeah, I wrote that down, actually. Yeah, I put, I love Jack Nicholson in the movie. It's nice to see the contrast from the rom-com to this.
Yeah, you were on Something's Gotta Give. Robbie's been on all 3. The Shining, Something's Gotta Give, and this.
Wide range.
He
Wide
only
range.
watches Nicholson movies now.
He kills more people in this one
Fair.
Yeah.
than,
Something's got to get.
than in Something's Gotta Give, where it's just his own life at risk.
Fair.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting part of the movie too, is like there was definitely a lot of like death in the movie, but there was no what I would call like gratuitous gangster violence. Like even when he was like covered in blood from coming back from the bar, like he like chopped somebody up, but they didn't even need to show that. Like there was no like shock value. It was just everything that was done in the movie was like, I don't know how to describe it, but like I feel like it's almost a little cheap when you're doing like the Scarface, like cutting people apart scenes. Like they did not need to do that to make this a fantastic movie.
Yeah, he just has so much presence and menace that you don't need to show him doing too much. I think
His face.
yeah, his face.
It's in his face. You look at him like, fuck, I don't want to mess with this dude.
The way like the muscles in his face contort and move while he's speaking, or when he's doing like the rat
his
thing.
eyes, that, like, yeah. Ooh.
He's awesome in this movie. He hadn't worked with Scorcese before, hasn't since. And yeah, he's really good. Obviously, Leo and Scorsese have worked together multiple times. I shouldn't say obviously. Shutter Island, Aviator.
So Leo must have been nominated for this as well, right? He just didn't win.
Let's get all the Oscar stuff out of the way. Leo is not nominated for this. Mark Wahlberg is.
What?
So weird.
Wait, all he did was be a dick the whole time.
He's so good.
Ah,
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself.
he was good, but like
So here's what
that
happened.
wasn't the noteworthy performance there.
So
Oh, wait, Wahlberg. Never mind. I was thinking of the other dude.
Affleck?
Yeah.
Wait,
Damon?
Damon?
No,
Damon.
Affleck's
Damon.
not in the movie.
I mix those two
He's
up
like the
all
only
time.
Boston
I
guy
paused
not
for
in
a
the
second.
movie.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is he even in this? He's
No,
probably
yeah.
somewhere.
I mix Matt Damon and Affleck.
How did he
up
not
all
make
the
it
time.
in? He must have declined.
So yeah, like I said, we'll do all the Oscar stuff out of the way first. So they don't want to put him forward as a lead actor because they want to take away from the other people in the movie. Plus, this was the same year that he was nominated for Blood Diamond, and so that was the focus for him.
I heard about that. That he campaigned hard for Blood Diamond. You kind of let The Departed go by the wayside.
Oh, that was a
Yeah.
mistake.
So
Blood Diamond was not great.
So they didn't want
Blood
to put him
Diamond.
in
It was
Best
fine.
Actor, and then he didn't campaign for Supporting Actor, supposedly because he didn't want to take shine off of his co-stars, but mostly Leo, like Scorsese, famously goes a very long time before winning one, and the thought is perhaps he did not want to win a Supporting Actor. So he doesn't campaign at all, so he doesn't get nominated.
Well, as Wahlberg would say, go fuck yourself.
It would have been a BS supporting actor.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where sometimes if it's just like Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he's one of the leads of that movie, but he wins for supporting. So
Interesting. I
Yeah.
would have seen him as best actor in that, but
Yeah, I mean it is what it is, right? So that's the DiCaprio thing. Both DiCaprio and Scorcese have a lot of baggage with the Oscars, especially at this point. Neither of them had won an Oscar before, despite
which is crazy.
Being two of the main people of 20th and early 21st century American movie making. So, Leo obviously eventually wins his acting trophy for The Revenant. Couldn't remember the name for a second for The Revenant. I don't know. I feel like I'm monologuing a lot. You guys talk for a while.
You're the one that knows all the facts, so we just let you say all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
but
then,
what do
and then
you?
we
What do
say
you?
all the like
The
stupid
facts.
shit and
The
I talk.
facts are boring though. People can read Wikipedia.
I
do you,
know.
What
It's
do you
your
guys think
podcast,
about the
though.
movie?
I'm not gonna...
Do you want me to review the movie?
Sure. What are your thoughts on the movie?
It feels like such a lame take because as a white male who's 30 years old who grew up in the Boston area of Irish descent, it's one of my favorite movies ever. And I feel like a lot of people in my demographic would say the exact same thing. So I feel a little lame saying that, but it's just such a good movie. And it's a 2.5 hour long movie and not a second goes by slowly. There's not one dead scene in the entire movie. The acting is phenomenal. The casting is phenomenal. The Boston accents are pretty good. The psychiatrist Vera, whatever her name is.
Yeah, Vera Farmiga. No,
her accent is not great.
No, it was bad.
Yeah.
Every time
I was like, oh, just talk.
every time I heard her R's, I was like, that sounds so forced. and not
That's
natural.
the thing too, is like anybody that from the Boston area, there's plenty of people that just don't have the accent. She didn't need to
Yeah,
have
I
an
don't have the
accent.
accent, dude.
Yeah, like
I'm
it
not-
was just like
I don't speak like that.
no.
She could have just used her normal voice. Alec Baldwin's Boston accent wasn't the greatest either, but Matt Damon, Mark Wahlberg sounded completely natural.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson sounded completely natural.
Martin Sheen wasn't too bad, but he also just didn't use it all the time.
No, he
so
didn't.
like that's the problem that I have. Problems overstating it, but the funny thing to me about a lot of the accents is Vera Farmiga and Jack Nicholson especially. They just like kind of punt on it at times. They're just like, we're not going to do it here. And then other times they're like, we're going to do it so much here.
The dinner scene she had with Matt Damon when they're on their first date, she forces it so hard.
Yeah.
That was cringy.
It was kind of cringy to watch.
Yeah.
But one other thing that was kind of cool, I feel like most movies I see with Matt Damon, he's a good guy. It's kind of nice to see him in a bad guy role. I feel like he does it super well. It's like kind of the snaky rat from the gang in the police department. I love seeing that different perspective from Matt Damon.
Yeah.
It was funny because he was kind of like a weenie bad guy.
Yeah, it played to his strengths, right? He was still kind of pretending to be a good guy while being the bad guy. So it's interesting.
Yeah. It was,
Yeah.
It was great.
Absolutely.
And I told the guys before you got here, I'm definitely a sucker for a movie where everyone dies. It's
Spoilers.
we already said that. It's such
Yeah,
a cheap
I know.
ploy. It's not like a cheap ploy if you do it the right way, but
Yeah.
it's so meaningful. And the one thing I really loved was everyone died, but like the good guy's legacy got to carry on, assuming that the baby is Leo's, which I
Yes.
think that you're supposed to assume as the viewer.
Yeah. Because Colin is impotent.
Oh
Yes.
shit! I didn't put that together. That's
Yeah.
a real good point.
I just assumed that.
Whereas apparently Leo shoots like fucking straight and true because they only had sex once.
Well, that's the other thing. Leo looked
That you
fucking
know.
amazing in the movie. Leo is so good looking.
That's what I'm saying.
He got all those he got prison ripped.
That
so.
egg was basically just calling for it. Like, just come on, I'm over here, I'm over here.
Leo. I watched it with Christy, and she was like, if Leo came over the house and you weren't at home, like I could
Yeah.
kind of see it going in this direction too.
being like super
Same.
vulnerable.
I was like, me
and
too,
stuff.
100%. I'm
He
with
comes
you.
in from the rain. He's just all wet. He's talking about his emotions.
Wet and vulnerable Leo.
He's a little
Just
dirty,
looking like-
rough around the edges, you know?
Yeah, he's got just like a little bit of a goatee scruff
Oh,
thing going
it's actually
on.
perfect scruff because we just saw Don't Look Up recently. Well, a lot of us did in the room, and his scruff is horrible in that movie.
Oh yeah,
He looks so bad.
Yeah.
he looks really bad in that
He
movie.
looks so good in this.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to do an episode on whatever wins Best Picture. So that is to say, hopefully we don't ever cover Best Don't Look Up on this podcast.
I
it's gonna
don't
win
think we
anything.
will.
Anyway, yeah, he's looking great. That's where the conversation's gone. He looks wonderful. He's like
All right,
34.
marry one day. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
He's around 34. I think Damon's like 37. Vera Farmiga's also 34.
I think it's 32 because I looked it up.
Okay, well there you go.
I mean, I don't know, but I didn't like.
I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like we're almost there. None of us look like that. It's just fucked up.
Well, because the reason I looked it up was that first scene when he's in the academy and he's clean cut. He looks like he's fucking 18.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like,
I thought he was
shit,
way younger.
How young was he in this movie? And that's
for
why
sure.
I looked it up.
Well, Leo's always looked younger until he got to a certain point where his face just kept expanding, and now he kind of looks toady. But he's making it work for him. He's going in like much more character.
30 to 50
actor.
instantly.
I mean, he's still,
pretty much.
He looks great for a 47-year-old. But
Yeah. No, I think he's wonderful. He's maybe my favorite actor, and I think the work he's doing recently, with an exception, is stuff I'm really, really into, and he's really getting into like more character stuff.
he plays the role so well. I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but what was his like? No, he didn't get nominated. I was gonna say, what was his Oscar? If let's just spitball,
He got
what do you
fucked
think
a
his
lot.
Oscar scene would be? I would say, for me personally, the scene with him and Mark Wahlberg on the roof. Not Mark Wahlberg, Matt Damon on the roof, where he first confronts Matt Damon.
Either that, or when he's talking about how his hand doesn't move to the therapist, because that's just him talking.
That was a
and
good
just
scene,
saying,
too.
you know,
Me and Christy, when we watched the movie, we instantly put our hands out. Christy was like, I feel like my hand doesn't move either. My hand definitely moves.
I forgot what happened to that part.
he's talking to the therapist, and it's where he's talking about like sitting with a mass murderer, and like your heart rate's so high, but what he learned about himself in prison is that his hand doesn't shake.
Oh, my hand shakes when I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, my hand shakes too. It's just like most people's
I have
hands.
tremors.
And it's weird because he does it and it's like, wow, his hand's not shaking. He's a good actor.
Or they just froze the frame.
So bigger picture stuff that we should mention. You're talking about how good Damon is, how good DiCaprio is. I feel like this movie really weaponizes their personas. DiCaprio has this kind of, I don't know, this youthful vibe that maybe tracks as like innocence, but I feel like in a lot of his stuff, he comes across as kind of like he's really putting in a lot of effort. He's very effortful. It doesn't look easy what he's doing. In this whole movie, he said he played as if he was having a panic attack the whole time, pretty much.
Oh, you got that from it. My pulse was pounding the
Yeah.
entire time.
Yeah.
So Leo, as a guy that has a little bit of artifice to him, I think tracks really well because he kind of has like a try hard quality. And that's what this whole character is. He's just trying way too hard and people are constantly calling him out on it. And then he's put in a situation for apparently like over a year where if he gets found out, he'll be brutally murdered. Fun tension. And I think
Fun tension.
same thing with Damon, who comes across as like he presents as this kind of just, varsity football star, all-American guy. And
World
he's
kind of
an
handed
asshole.
to him on a platter,
Yeah, and he's an asshole.
I'm surprised nobody asked him, like Vera didn't ask him, like, hey, how do you afford this apartment, man? Like, you're on a police detective salary, and this is like a $3,500 a month apartment.
And they do so much throughout the movie, without putting, I guess, too fine a point on it, of cutting between Leo in prison, Damon in his awesome penthouse apartment.
View of the state house.
Yeah,
realize that.
Leo hanging out with like in like a really shitty neighborhood or something, and then Damon at a really fancy restaurant with his therapist girlfriend.
The duality was fantastic. And like when Leo was like demanding for his old life back, like, I don't want I want my life back. It's like, man, you can't get your life back at this point. I don't know if you ever realized that, but like there was no going back for him. I don't know. It's just interesting. Like, but there was no going back for Damon's character either because like he was getting I don't know. I just really liked how they both were in the same situation almost, but with very different circumstances.
Yeah. And you pick up on how much a lot of people in the department kind of resent Damon's character for just being a climber. He's just always trying to get up,
It did seem a little far-fetched again that nobody called about. Like they did kind of on like a really lucky that gun was in the trunk, huh? And it's like, man, there's been a lot of coincidences that happen just perfectly for this guy here. Like he should be tripping off some alarms somewhere.
I think a lot of it is it's making the argument that there's not a lot of good police that actually are going to question like, oh, the case is closed. Good.
Gotcha.
And then Wahlberg at the end, I guess, is the I like that there's not even like the only good cop situation because like he just straight up murders someone. He doesn't try to arrest him. He's just like, yeah, fuck this guy.
Yeah, I was hoping for like even
And
a scene
everyone
at the
else
end.
either like doesn't do their job thoroughly enough or is dead.
Or I was hoping for like at least a little clip at the end of a news story of like hero cop turned out to be like a embedded gangster or something.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. I'm not even convinced that the rest of the world would even find out that Damon's character was a bad cop.
No, definitely not.
No, he'll get the bagpipes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's part of the point. I love the
Yeah.
ending. I would not
Yes.
change the ending at all. I thought
Interesting.
it was awesome. Although, if the movie was a continuance, did Mark Wahlberg get caught for that?
Oh, absolutely
He
not.
left the fucking door open.
Yeah, but he had like little booties on like painters.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
ready.
he
Booties
was
on
like
his
very
shoes.
prepared.
There
I'm
were
sure
two women in the hallway walking a dog. He
They
fired
got
a
on the
pistol.
elevator.
they got in the elevator. They were gone. I don't think he got caught. I think if
He
there was
probably took the
cameras, he was
stairs and
aware of it. Like I think the purpose of
Oh, yeah.
him being so prepared was just to show like he wasn't going to get caught
That
for
type
this.
of building has cameras in the hallway. He didn't pull the mask over his face.
Yeah, but he probably like turned him or something. Like
Yeah,
he
he was
was
aware.
very clearly going in for like a contract hit.
He also has a police
Yes.
badge. He could just be like, "Let me get in there."
Oh, he wasn't a police officer at that point. He gave his 2 weeks. He quit.
Oh,
I thought he was
right.
just on, I thought they forced him to go on leave.
They put him on leave, and then when Damon's talking to Leo, he tells him that he's gone.
Oh,
so,
okay.
but I
I
mean,
still thought he
it depends
meant
how
gone
much you
temporary,
believe him. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the ending was great, but that was kind of my other thing is like he really could have brought him back, and he could have gotten Mark Wahlberg's character to vouch for him. He had all of the information as well. Like he also
Yeah.
knew he was on that mission, so that's why.
he calls Anthony Anderson down there and tells him to bring Wahlberg, and he doesn't.
That's who he said to bring. Okay.
And he doesn't.
Gotcha.
and that's what ruins everything.
Gotcha. I mixed up the character name, so I wasn't sure who he was supposed to also
Yeah.
bring. But
Not the guy who was there.
I thought that was just Anthony Anderson's partner, so that's why I thought he told him to bring both of them. But like that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, because they were in the academy together, so Anthony Anderson does know him,
Okay.
and then ding him because that's the only guy who actually knows the situation.
That makes so much sense. That clears up a lot for me.
Yep.
But I figured she also like the psychiatrist could have released his file to like to the police or whatever. But it seems
She
like
didn't know.
Leo's plan was to release it to Mark Wahlberg's character, and that's why he ended up showing up. But that's why I was hoping he got caught too. Like that's why he gets away with it because he keeps his mouth shut. Sorry, I'm talking out loud. You can edit all this out.
No.
No, I feel like that's pretty essential. That's what we're figuring out right now.
Yeah,
Talking
yeah.
about it. So wait, in the end, Wahlberg, he's a bad guy, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Morally gray.
I mean, depends.
Well, I
I mean,
guess,
like,
uh,
like
He does the
fuck,
thing
fuck
everyone
Colin.
watching the movie
Stupid Colin.
wants to happen. Everyone watching the movie wants Mark Wahlberg to kill, or not
Well-
Mark Wahlberg necessarily, but Matt Damon's character to get busted / die.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't mean it's like.
He carries out the people's justice.
So he did it with, well, in a sense, good intentions. He wasn't working for the bad guys taking him out.
I
So
feel
I
like
don't
he
even know
did
if
it
it's
'cause he
good
was-
intentions. He's just like, this guy's been fucking us, and this.
well, yeah.
and I
Well,
knew
in
this
his
guy was
head,
a fucking rat,
in his
and he's
head,
been
like,
ruining
fuck
my
this guy.
job, like,
He sucks.
yeah, dude,
He's bad.
Yeah,
Kill him.
I think he had a personal vendetta too. I think
right.
he
Yeah,
fucking hated.
he's
Matt
he's
Damon.
not thinking
Like,
like for
no-
the good of
nobody-
the Commonwealth.
Most likely, nobody's paying him like, hey, you need to take this guy out before he spills the beans about something. That's basically what I mean.
I think too, if like they brought him in alive, there was a good chance, like with no records now, and he had already quit after assaulting a police officer, like he might not have even went to jail. Like he could have been like, no, I was actually the informant. This guy was the rat, and like that's why he has all these records of me because he was on to me. But luckily we caught him right before it. Like there definitely was some, if he
There's
didn't
an
just like,
avenue for whatever.
for escape, I guess.
Did you guys know this is a remake?
No.
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 So this is a remake of a 2002 Hong Kong film called Infernal Affairs.
Oh, actually, I think I've heard that.
Yeah.
Huh.
It stars Tony Leung in the DiCaprio role. You'd know him from he's the villain in Shang-Chi. So he's also in a ton of other stuff and great Wong Kar-wai films. He's the star of In the Mood for Love. Fantastic film. But most people will know him as the villain and the main character's dad in Shang-Chi.
Spoilers.
No, you just know that.
Okay.
That's right from the beginning, pretty much.
Gotcha.
I guess it's just to say villain, the antagonist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it was a remake for
Oh,
a movie
okay.
4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Got great ratings too.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. Yep, it didn't obviously make a huge impact over here. Apparently, when Scorcese signed on, he didn't realize it was a remake. He didn't write the script, and he didn't watch Infernal Affairs until they had already finished making this movie.
Have you seen it?
So, I have not seen it. It's supposed to be awesome.
I'm wondering how close it is.
It looks pretty close. The ending's different, but there's two versions of the ending because to play in some markets in Asia, you have to have people who did bad things in the movie get punished at the end.
That makes sense.
And I think the original ending is basically right up until the last scene of this movie, except the Damon character doesn't get shot.
He goes to jail.
No, he just is. It just ends.
Oh, that's a horrible
ends,
ending.
It just ends at the DiCaprio funeral.
Oof.
So in the version that played in at least Malaysia and in a version that played in mainland China, the DiCaprio character instead like successfully arrests him and he goes to jail. And
That's even worse.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. It's even worse.
Yeah. Okay. So both those endings kind of suck.
Yeah.
I'd like to watch it, especially after just watching this one. Be interesting.
yeah.
for sure.
Apparently it is legitimately very, very good.
Some people are saying it's like better than Departed.
Yeah. I think
But they're
Departed
not from
has,
Boston,
as an interesting reputation being the one that Scorsese actually wins Best Director for, because it's probably not his best movie. I think most people would agree. I know that for me it's not,
Goodfellas.
but I mean Goodfellas is awesome. Raging Bull maybe I would say, but he's great, and you know he has just such an interesting filmography that people sometimes flatten out to just gangster movies and the Rolling Stones on the soundtrack, which of course he does use Rolling Stones song twice in this, and it is about gangsters. But anyway,
What do you think Leo's best movie is?
shit. I think
Titanic.
I don't know if it's recency bias, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is maybe my favorite Leo performance. I think he's so good in that.
Okay.
He's really freaking good in that movie.
I haven't seen that one actually. I feel like I've seen a lot of Leo movies too for some
It's
reason.
super good.
Yeah. Should also mention Gangs of New York, another Leo Scorsese movie where he plays a young Irish guy who infiltrates a gang to get closer to the patriarch of that gang.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I like The Wolf of Wall Street personally.
I actually
I would say probably maybe I'd lean towards Wolf. I think I like his performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood so much, but I would probably take Wolf of Wall Street maybe over it. It's so good.
I guess I have to watch it. If
It's
you do an
hard.
episode on that.
You've never seen Wolf of Wall Street?
No.
Let's
damn.
do a Scorsese month.
When did that come out?
2011 or something like that.
Something like that.
Oh, that's old.
That's definitely not exact, I don't think, but
I actually have it in front of
A
me.
long time ago.
I guess I could have just
after
looked.
high school, I remember that. But before we graduated college, I think.
I mean, after high school, it was like
2013.
last year or two.
2013.
Okay.
That's another movie. People don't make that mistake with this movie because people die. It's a lot more clear, and it not to say that it holds your hand as much, but it has a much clearer defined plot. But Wolf of Wall Street is one of the Scorsese movies that people accuse of like glorifying bad behavior. It's like, how can you possibly think that he thinks Jordan Belfort's a good guy watching that movie?
Right.
With
And I
him
mean,
like throwing lobsters
if-
off of his yacht and
If you feel
throwing
like
little people
that
onto
movie
Velcro.
glorified his behavior, then like
Same
that's just
clips.
it's a reflection of the society at the time, because Jordan Belfort went off to like still be a famous person that made a shit ton of money off of the actual real public. So like everyone did glorify his
Yeah.
behavior.
Yeah.
He still makes money off of those events. Like he does a bunch of interviews and podcasts.
Yeah,
and things.
he's like on the speaking circuit, right? And he can't trade stocks, but can he do crypto?
I'm sure he can. There's no regulations on
Yeah.
that. So
that Dan Olson video mentions him and says that he's really into crypto. It
Yeah,
doesn't
that-
say like if he's bought in, whatever.
makes a ton of sense.
Yeah,
So like, yeah, he
Penny-
was
penny-
probably
penny stocks.
glorified a little bit, but like
yeah.
That's real life.
So all that to say, in this particular Scorsese movie, The Departed, I don't think you think that he's glorifying Frank Costello's character at all.
no.
Because that guy from the jump is the most like hateful dude in most movies.
They even make a point to be like, I mean, I think a lot of villains are like, I was forced into this life, or I'm just doing what I have to do.
He says,
And
I
he's
don't
just
need
like,
to do this anymore. I just want to.
I just like it. And it's just like, wow, you're a big piece of shit, huh?
I also think they make him physically look kind of gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On
His
purpose.
hair's just like
His hair is a mess.
a mess the whole
And-
time. He's just like an animal.
Yeah, the way he eats, the way his like facial expressions all the time.
Yeah.
He's just got fingers full of lobster just like sliding
Yeah.
off of his face. Like, yeah.
So
he's
he's
a
so
fucking
vulgar.
slob
Yeah.
in a good way.
But a beautiful artist.
Beautiful art. I love that when he's quoting John Lennon and DiCaprio's not really taking it seriously, and then he like pulls out a disembodied hand and he starts like using it to gesture without even like breaking eye contact. It's like, what a cool scene.
DiCaprio's like visibly like on edge. She's like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
It's a power move, right? Like if I brought
Bro.
if I
Yeah.
brought a fucking decapitated hand to this podcast, you guys would like probably respect me a little bit more.
Yeah, I tell you to get the fuck out of my house.
I mean, the Die Hard episode was pretty intense. We can peek behind the curtain. That's why. Yeah, I just think
Immediately gets rid of the wires. Like, that's the move, man.
yes, that's really funny where that happens, and he just like, I need to go to the bathroom, and
I'm absolutely not doing this.
throws him out the window into the Boston Harbor.
Yeah.
That was something I forgot about, like on the rewatch. This is probably my fourth time seeing the movie.
Okay.
And I forgot about the wire, that he originally wore a wire, because I remember like that he was basically reporting back to Martin Sheen and Mark Wahlberg throughout the movie, because
Yeah.
obviously it would be incredibly dangerous to wear a wire around the Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
character.
He was literally already
What a
searched
terrible
for one.
idea.
I mean, I wouldn't have even walked into that meeting. Like, they literally broke my cast open checking for a wire. You don't think they're going to check again?
How could
like,
the cops think that was a safe move for their CI? I don't.
They didn't give a shit.
No, I mean, even when he took the wires off, they're like, you think he's dead already?
Yeah, like I'm not going to like prison, coming out being an undercover, and then you're gonna put a fucking wire on me? No way.
No.
I mean, I wouldn't do
Voluntarily
any of
going to
that.
prison too. It's not like someone
Yeah.
they picked up from prison.
It was like, hey, you're gonna go to prison. He's like, I want to be a cop. Okay.
That was a badass operation they had going though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Man, yeah, good movie. Now we don't have to get bogged down and just like this scene was cool, but this movie I think lends itself to that. I was thinking this might be the most rewatchable movie that we've done so far in the podcast.
Yeah, I honestly almost feel a little underprepared that I've almost seen it once, because I feel like there's a lot that I would need to like absorb from it. Like, it's so quick paced, even 2.5
Yes.
hours. Like, I don't know.
But it still zooms.
Yeah.
It fucking zooms, man. It's the thing. It's a Scorcese thing too. It just sort of all goes.
Yep.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't necessarily have a standard rhythm.
There's no processing time. It's just
No, it just
scene after
goes.
scene after scene, and then each one is just as crazy as the last.
Yeah, it's doing a thing, and it doesn't naturally transition the way other things do, but it does naturally kind of slide along. It's characters talking about one thing, and then it'll be the same characters talking about the same thing, but they'll be in a completely different place.
Mm.
And you just understand, like, oh, okay, now they're over here. Now this is happening.
Yep.
Now they're looking for microprocesses.
Do you think the guy
That's where the
was
shortages happen. That's why there's a shortage.
This is why the shortage is happening.
Do you think the guy that was reported as a police officer, like when he was found in the swamp, was he also an undercover cop? Do you think, or do
Yeah.
you think that was the okay?
Yeah, because he says to Leo before he dies, like, you gave yourself away, but like, tell me why I didn't say anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what he was getting.
Oh, I
at.
misinterpreted that.
Because he tells Leo 414 or 314 or whatever, but it's actually whatever number 44 instead of 14.
Yep.
But he shows up at the right building. And he's like, because you were already there.
Yeah. Oh, so maybe he thought.
Wait, so he was an undercover as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, they said that in the movie.
Well, because the movie makes you think. Well, they don't make you think, but the point is like that. It shows Jack Nicholson is becoming completely paranoid. where
Yeah,
he's like,
because
"This
he
is-
says they're
it's
lying.
a police planted story in the media,
Yeah.
basically, to think that they got rid of the rat already.
Yep.
So it's supposed to like represent his like mental spiraling.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. He's deteriorating pretty rapidly and becoming super paranoid.
I wasn't sure, because didn't he just say? Well, the police said they were. I thought it was a little non-committal. No.
It's just that scene that Ben was talking about where he's laying on the couch dying and he pulls Leo in. He's like, tell me why I didn't say that. And like, there's literally no other explanation for why he wouldn't tell the rest of the gang that Leo showed up at the correct address despite receiving the wrong address.
So what I thought he was saying is, tell me why you showed up on time anyway.
That's also what I thought.
No.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
No, he said, tell me why I didn't say nothing.
Okay.
Oh.
I didn't catch that in my first couple of views too.
Yeah. No, it's all good. It's like you said, it's 2.5 hours long, but it ain't slow.
No.
Fastest 2.5 hours.
Yeah. It just goes, man. And like I said, it's so rewatchable. Anytime this is on TV, wherever it is, I'm like, oh, I'll check out this scene. I think the scene I've probably seen the most is anytime it's coming up to when they interrogate Leo for the first time when he's in the bar. That's such a great scene.
Such a good scene.
Where they
You
break
have your
open his
period?
cast and and it's a natural diuretic. My girlfriend thinks it when she has her period. You got your period.
Really dumb move on his part though. Who orders a fucking
I was
cranberry
wondering the
on
same
rocks
thing. I'm like, what
when
the
they're
hell is he
undercover?
doing? I'd just be
Yeah.
like, I think as Jack Nicholson's character, I'd be like, so you're a cop, right? Like you're just here drinking cranberry juice. Like that's the most cop thing I can think of to fucking do right now.
Wherever
Like
he
a cop
goes.
would drink alcohol.
Yeah. He doesn't fit in anywhere, right? When he tries to be a cop, they tell him you can't be a cop. You're a fucking astronaut. You got a 1400 on your SATs.
Yep.
What's that?
Probably upstairs.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
definitely
They've been
whatever. It's not going to
slamming
come
hammers
across.
on the ground all day.
Hammering. And then so when he tries to be a cop, the cops tell him you can't be a cop.
Right.
You're obviously not a cop. You don't have the mentality for it. And then when he tries to be a criminal, they tell him you can't be a criminal. Go back to school.
Okay.
Yeah. Nicholson literally tells him like one day you're gonna wake the fuck up.
That was interesting. I think that was like the only scene we were talking about him like not being humanized. And I think that was the only part where you're just like, he's kind of looking out for your best interest here, man. Like, I don't know what his angle is.
He also walks over and sexually harasses clergy directly after that too.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't really feel bad for them since they were like both pedophiles.
That's what he calls them, pretty much.
Oh, I thought he knew they were. I didn't think he was calling them that.
I mean, it's Boston, and it's the perfect time
Percentage.
for that kind of thing.
I feel like he knew, and he was basically like telling them, "Don't judge me. I know what you're up to." Like, I don't
think
know.
it was kind of like a after 9/11 calling a Muslim a terrorist type of situation.
Interesting.
That's more what I got from it.
Oh, because it was the beginning of the movie, right?
At that point, we're I don't know, like an hour in.
Oh, never mind. I was thinking of like the very beginning.
We're the scene where he tells Leo that maybe you want to go back to school.
Oh,
like maybe
okay.
you're not cut out for this.
I-
And then he walks over and he hands off a lewd illustration to
Oh, right.
to
I know
the
what
two
you're talking about
priests.
I definitely misread that situation because I thought he was basically like, I almost expected him to collect money from them afterwards. Like, you doing this in my city, like, you're going to pay me for it. But I guess, no, it
No, I
ties
think
in
he's just
better
fucking with him.
because he's definitely like said a lot of shitty things about the church all the way leading up to that. So it really gives you a state of mind of like, he just hates these people. Yeah. Okay. No, that makes more sense.
Or I don't know. It could be both.
Mm.
It is Boston Priest.
Well, because there was also a scene, and I guess I probably should look too much into it, but there was a bunch of like kids marching onto his yacht, and I was like, oh, is this like a fucking Epstein thing? You know, like, is he also in this business? You know what I
The
mean?
Lolita Express, you think?
it kind of like tied in with him like having information on these police, and then like I don't know if they actually got on the boat, but it looked like there was like a parade of school children going onto that yacht. You know?
This is not something I thought was necessarily going to naturally come up, but I'm glad it did because, fun fact, that yacht is the same yacht that Leo has in Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, no way.
Yep.
Is that the same
Where he's wearing-
yacht when they took a picture of Jack Nicholson with the shirt off eating pizza with a bunch of babes?
No, I think that was a smaller yacht, unfortunately.
I thought he was just like, one condition. I'm not wearing that fucking hat, but I want that yacht.
He should have been.
That's what I would do if I was a famous person. I'd be like, I don't even like need it, but I'm just gonna be like, you're gonna give me that when I'm done.
Yeah. Oh, man, good movie. So there's a few people they offered the Dignam role to first. It's Dignam. It's such a hard word for me to get
That's
my mouth
Wahlberg,
around.
right?
Yeah, Wahlberg eventually takes it. They had offered Ray Liotta. Obviously, it worked with. I keep saying that. I shouldn't say that. Making people feel bad. He had obviously.
He's the Goodfellas guy.
Yes, Ray Liotta from Goodfellas worked with Scorcese before. has a memorable cameo in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Those are my main Leota pulls. So they had offered him the role of Dignam. I think Dennis Leary was also an option, but had
like
other commitments or something.
What a dingham.
Seriously. And it ends up with Wahlberg. I think this might be the best Wahlberg has ever been in a movie. He's really freaking good.
Yeah, I mean, he really made me hate him. So
Yeah.
Wait, you hated Wahlberg?
he's such a dick.
I kind
Yeah.
of like that about him.
He was a dick, but he was like a dick in like a you want to be his bud way.
He didn't try to not be a dick. That's the
No.
thing.
He was
you know?
genuine.
He was
genuine.
genuinely an asshole.
Yeah, it was just like, this guy's an asshole. I don't know, but
No, he was a douche. Like I wouldn't have been his friend in high school.
Oh yeah,
But if
I don't want
I'd
anything
probably
to.
think he was funny.
Oh, I wouldn't.
I just he didn't cross the line to humor for me. Like I think he was close to it, but he just seemed so like he didn't seem like he was busting your balls. He just seemed like he was ready to, and he did like physically assault people all the time. You know, like he didn't seem like this was just like this is my bravado. It was just like I'm a fucking crazy person.
He definitely had some repressed childhood emotions, like 100%. He was a bully in high school.
So you treat feds like you treat mushrooms. You feed them shit and keep them in the dark. It's a good line.
It's a good line.
No, that's.
I'm not saying he was a bad actor. He made me dislike him quite a bit, which is a good.
I'm just saying, I usually don't think of Mark Wahlberg as someone who's going to inhabit a character quite this much. You kind of just think of Wahlberg doing the Wahlberg thing. But, you know.
Absolutely. Like, I'm not arguing that his acting wasn't fantastic.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just tough now after the Wahlburgers reality TV show and stuff.
There's a
But
TV show.
Yeah, but I mean, it's he got a Best Supporting Actor nom for this. A few years later, he gets a Best Actor nom for The Fighter. He's really fucking good in The Fighter too.
So good.
Yeah, he's really good in that
I haven't
too.
thought about that
So-
That's a
movie in
good
so
movie.
long.
I think I've seen
I
that,
totally
actually.
forgot about that.
I haven't
Yeah.
thought about that movie forever.
So he might be better in that. That is what he gets his Best Actor nomination for. I don't know, but I think you just kind of think of him as like the guy who took over Transformers after Shia LaBeouf got too weird.
Yeah.
I stopped after the second one.
Oh yeah,
Me
that
too.
was enough.
Probably a good point to stop.
Originally they wanted Mel Gibson to play the role that Alec Baldwin has.
I would have been okay with that.
I didn't think Alec
It
Baldwin.
wouldn't have aged well.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that Alec Baldwin could have been replaceable though. I was like,
Yeah,
Alec
that's what I
Baldwin
mean,
crushed
like,
this role. No
he-
one else could have been him.
it was very mediocre.
Yeah, it's a smaller role. I think you have Mel Gibson there as basically like, well, I mean, in Lethal Weapon, he's obviously iconic, and it's going to be a kind of like that guy, but a few years later.
Okay.
But it's a small role, but he did. I think Baldwin does crush the scene where he's at the driving range.
That was my favorite scene with him too. I was about to say that.
Yeah, I think he plays like the oblivious guy in charge really well. Like, I don't know. I think it worked really well for him.
also accurate, right? Marriage is an important part of getting ahead, and that whole little run he does.
Mm.
I thought that too. I was like, thank God I'm married.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Pat.
Way to go, Pat. Let's
Yeah,
people
wow,
know.
it must be nice.
Where he says like, let's people, when ladies see the ring, they know immediately you must have some cash or your cock must work. And then Damon goes, yeah, it's working overtime.
Oh my God.
And at least
And-
one person can stand
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
favorite part.
And Alec Baldwin goes, I'm glad to hear that. It's like, it's very, he goes into 30 Rock mode for like a second there. It's very funny.
And he also like in that scene, I don't know, it's just like a small touch, but his hair is like disheveled. He looks like
Yeah.
you can see like the belly coming out of his like his waistline.
Yeah.
It's just he looks like such a dad at the golf course.
And he's like, some people don't trust you because you're a straight shooter, but I trust you because I'm a straight shooter too. And I'm like, I don't trust either, you fucks.
Yeah. It's even better. The word choice is immaculate record.
Immaculate record.
Some guys don't
There
trust
you
an
go.
immaculate record. I do. I have an immaculate record.
It's just like classic, like white guy on top. Like, I don't
it's
know.
very Jack Donaghy, which is a parody of that kind of guy.
Okay. I don't know who Jack Donaghy is.
From his character in 30 Rock.
Oh, I should probably watch that.
Oh, you would love it. It's right up your alley.
I think I would. I've heard a lot. I think I've seen like screenshots from it, but
I've seen
Yeah.
a good amount of random episodes.
The idea you just see like not memes, but just like random screenshot of like Alec Baldwin and Tina Fey walking down a hallway, but there's no macro text on it. There's
it's
no
definitely
joke.
macro text.
It's just them walking. I've seen a shot of it.
I know it exists.
I know it exists. Martin Sheen was the last person they hired to come in. I think Sheen does a really good job, actually. But
Who's that?
he plays Queenan.
The guy who gets thrown off the roof.
Oh, okay.
Guy gets thrown off the roof in one of the.
Queenan was fantastic.
Yes, I thought. Like I said, he sometimes isn't fully doing the accent, but when he does, he's not doing a bad job.
Yeah.
He's not overdoing
that
it.
kind of tracks. I feel like you meet people that like will pick up the accent when they're around other people using the accent, but also just like speak regularly sometimes.
That
Yeah,
happens
yeah.
to me.
Yeah, I mean, especially like somebody in his position, he probably bumps elbows with people that do not talk like someone from Southie at all.
No,
So-
you're totally right. Yeah, he's probably doing some code switching.
Let me spend a day with my dad, and I start talking like him. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, or after watching this movie, I'm definitely doing like a Mark Wahlberg thing for a while.
My dad has like, it's a unique accent. It's like you take a little bit of grew up in a Portuguese household and Boston, and you slap them together.
Yeah,
That's my dad.
yeah. People we grew up around have Rhode Island accents, which are even worse than Boston ones.
What's a Rhode Island accent?
It's
I live here.
it's slightly more nasally than Boston, and the A's are objectively the worst sounding A sound.
Give me
Of
your
any
best
industry.
shot.
I actually can't do accents because I took a bunch of speech therapy when I was in elementary school.
Doesn't that mean you should do it better?
Interesting.
No, they didn't teach me
Whoa.
how to do accents.
Ben,
they taught me how to not do accents.
they should record. They should show your podcast as like this is what you can be if you have
I
speech
was gonna
therapy.
say,
Yeah, you speak way better than all of
You have
us.
a fantastic podcast voice.
Thank
so-
you. So it was that I don't even know if it was that bad. I couldn't pronounce R's correctly, but I contend that it's because
You're from Boston.
I was gonna say I contend that's because I had never heard an R used correctly.
Yeah, fair.
So I didn't know how to use them. And then they put me in like a special class.
That's probably why my dad has an accent.
Yeah, maybe.
Nobody he was around spoke English.
It's really weird because obviously British English, they don't use R's that much either, but it doesn't sound anywhere near as dirty as when we do it. But obviously we have like a mongrelized version of the New England settlers who came and like they drop their R's too, but they do it in a different way.
We're just so damn stubborn. We never evolved from it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Do we know anyone in real life who has like a super strong Boston accent?
It's
There's that like Fall River accent. That's like
yeah.
quasi Boston.
Yeah, yeah. And that's like the Rhode Island accent is Fall River. too.
Yeah.
I
So-
can't think of anyone that I know in my personal life who has like a strong Boston
It's
accent.
definitely associated more with like a blue collar thing.
I have some uncles on my parents'
Dude.
side that live up in Boston, but
Marty Walsh, the Labor Secretary of America.
not my
yeah.
uncle. No.
Former Boston mayor.
My dad's coworkers, it's like strong. They all work in Boston. And a lot of them live there.
Yeah.
But it's like strong. You hear all of them talking, and I'm like, Jesus, is this a movie?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Calling each other kid. And stuff's wicked cool.
Wicked cool.
just
I
say,
use Wicked all the
everyone uses-
time.
everyone
Yeah.
I know uses Wicked for sure.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah, boy. No,
Wicked's a
it wasn't
fucking
like
great
that.
word.
Yeah. Even like
Wicked
going
cool.
It's a wicked great
even
word.
going from like the Fall River area to working in Providence, like people would be like, "Oh, Wicked, you're from Massachusetts." I'm like, I can't believe you guys don't use that too, but it's
You
hit or
should.
miss. You
it's,
should.
It's wicked useful.
It's because half of Providence is not from Providence.
It's
It's
fair.
all colleges.
But again, it's like a mongrelized version because wicked is an exclamation in British English, and we use it in a different way here.
Right.
But we're the only ones who use it.
We still have the. It's still so it's an
sense, yeah.
exclamation.
It's
in
like a
British, but we
modifier.
still use
Yeah.
it as like a positive modifier.
Yes. Yeah, but they can just be like, oh, wicked, like, oh, brilliant.
Yep.
But that we wouldn't do that. We'd say like, oh, wicked cool.
Yeah. Wicked
It could
bad.
be wicked. Yeah, I was gonna say it
Oh,
could
it's
be negative.
just wicked bad kid.
Wicked bad.
Also,
kid.
there's just like the word wicked, like
Like
in its
evil
natural
bad.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have witches, so we use that too.
the wickedest of witches, wicked.
wicked witches. Wicked witches.
I was like, are you scratching a?
So you guys might not have quite such a visceral reaction to seeing the State House so many times over the course of the movie, but I do. And
It made you sad, Ben.
You've been there a couple of times, right?
just a few. And it's worth noting that his apartment doesn't exist. They get that shot of the State House from the one of the Suffolk buildings.
Really?
okay.
I did
Yeah.
notice it looked like kind of weird.
Yeah,
In the
there's
background.
like not a place where you can see that. There's one shot where him and his friends, I think it's James Badge Dale, who also ends up being a mole in the unit from Costello's crew.
Yep.
You don't find out till the very end, and then he immediately dies. they're sitting on a bench and like looking at the State House. And I was like, I don't think that exists. Unless there's some weird lensing thing that makes the State House look a lot closer to this bench. There's no bench there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there's no bench like across the street. There's a sidewalk. There's the Glory Monument, that
Well,
movie that
maybe
Denzel
when
Washington
it
was
was
in.
filmed. There was a bench.
Have they kept up with that roof?
There
Is it
wasn't,
still
obviously, 'cause
that
it's
beautiful gold? Because
yeah, it
that's
actually
like
is.
Yeah.
some excessive. I mean, and you can even look around Fall River. All of those like green domes we have should look like that State
Yeah.
House.
But now they look gross.
Yeah, they look gross.
Yes. Yeah, no, it still looks great. There's construction on the front of the building right now, so there's scaffolding, but they very funnily have like it looks like a blown up JPEG on top of this huge scaffolding. So like if you take a picture, it still kind of looks like there's not scaffolding. Like of what the front facade of the building would be, but they just like put it over like a windscreen that's on the side of the
So
scaffolding.
that's where my
That's
taxes are going.
Hilarious.
You know how much it costs to print out a
Hilarious.
picture that big?
At least $30, I'm assuming. But
Where
yeah.
is the State House? Like
Boston.
Yeah, no shit. Like where in Boston?
So it's right on one of the corners of the Common,
Oh, okay.
up corner of Beacon and Park Street.
Okay. Actually,
I think they did a shot of City Hall in there too. That really weird looking building.
So yeah, there's a building. She works at Vera Farmiga where she works that they say is like where government people go to like, get their brains checked. That's actually the Christian Science Center,
Okay.
which is a really cool looking plaza, but I don't think is where government people see cops with post-traumatic stress.
Christian Science Center.
Yeah, Christian Science is these people who believe
Real.
prayer is
Science.
all the medicine you need.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they have this really nice plaza designed by
we all agree.
designed by I.M. Pei in Back Bay, nowhere near the State House or Government Center. So
But Government Center was in there, wasn't it? I think when they started following the police chief.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
coming
I was
out of
just-
Government
he's SIU where SIU is either Government Center or it's one of the buildings that looks exactly like that.
Is that the big cement building?
Yeah, it looks almost like UMass.
That's
With
Dartmouth,
the-
with
I think
extra.
this looks just like
Yes,
UMass Dartmouth.
it's brutalist architecture.
Yeah. Boston.
That is either a huge eyesore or a source of pride, depending on who you ask.
I think the
Very
way they
divisive.
did that one is a lot better than the brutalist architecture that they did in UMass Dartmouth. Because at least it's
Well, yes.
unique. It has like a lot of those like weird jutting out structures, which I think is interesting at the very least.
Government Center in Boston has a lot of interior courtyards, so there's always natural light depending on like what part of the building you're on. Is the idea,
That's kinda
but there's fluorescent lights and shit.
a lot of open areas.
Yeah, it
and-
looks
Yeah.
like a prison.
Cool.
Wait, where did the Vera character go to college?
She went
Suffolk.
Suffolk.
Suffolk, yeah.
That is it.
Or no, she didn't go to Suffolk. She went to UMass, right?
Yeah,
No,
she said
no, I think that's
he
where-
went. He was going to Suffolk, and then she said,
No, I went to UMass.
I thought
Yeah.
he went to UMass.
"No, he went to Suffolk."
I
Doesn't
wasn't.
matter.
Oh, actually, never. I was gonna say I wasn't sure if she was lying because throughout the rest of the movie she wore a lot of Harvard shit, but she's in Boston. Everybody just wears a lot
Yeah,
of Harvard
yeah.
shit.
Yeah, it's inescapable.
I have a Harvard bag.
Yeah.
Park Street,
I did
right,
too.
right
Oh,
next to
yeah,
the State
my
House. Park Street Station. Outside of that, there's always someone selling knockoff Harvard sweatshirts.
Yep.
That's the T stop that they leave from. They go to South Station. They shot that sequence apparently 100 times. That Martin Sheen and Leo had to ride the red line. I guess between Park Street and South
It
Station.
lasted 100 times. In
Yeah,
a
they,
row?
apparently they filmed it they did like 100 trips or they filmed 100 takes or something like that. And it doesn't seem like that complicated a shot, but you figure that's a lot of extras. And they take the train, then they meet on the roof, and that's when the crew comes and throws them off the building.
Gotcha.
So a bad day all around. He had to take the red line, and then he got thrown off a building.
I don't know what's worse.
Yeah.
I'd want the second thing to happen before taking the red line so I don't have to suffer.
I don't understand how there's like not a shadow of a doubt in his mind that he was getting tailed. Leo was like, "Are you getting tailed?" And he was like, "Absolutely."
Absolutely.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, he has like no reason to think that there is a tail, unless, of course, he remembers that there is a mole in his unit.
yeah, you should just always assume there might be a tail.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, do something to lose a tail, like even if you don't have one.
He was literally the guy that gave him the idea to tail him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, how did you guys feel about that scene where it was like the Matt Damon character flashing back to Martin Sheen telling him like, oh, if you want to get to Leo's character, you have to follow Jack Nicholson. Sorry, I wish I was using the characters' names, but I don't have them mastered.
I thought it was fantastic. I thought that was like really well done, where like I didn't understand exactly where he was going with like asking those questions, and then like, oh shit, that was a very good idea. Like if you're looking for who his informant is, ask him how he would find your informant. Like, I don't know.
I didn't think too much into it when it happened.
Did you like the callback scene, Ben?
Yep.
Thanks.
Anything else we need to hit on?
They almost filmed a sequel based on Dignam.
Oh, okay. He's just on the run killing people.
Who's Dignam again?
Wahlberg.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I feel like that'd be stupid.
Monahan wanted to cover some socio-political subject matter that he overlooked in the original, like corruption.
Monahan's
and
the
local government.
screenwriter, should mention.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. I was like,
We haven't mentioned it, so. What I wanted to say earlier, and I forgot to, longtime editor for Martin Scorsese is Thelma Schoonmaker, and she is maybe like the best to ever fucking do it. She's so good. And a lot of the flow of Scorsese movies is down to the editing, and she is wonderful. She has a really famous quote. Somebody, because she's a woman, so she gets asked a question like this, asks her in an interview, oh, like, how do you, like, you're such a nice lady. How do you make all these movies that are like so brutal and have so many murders and stuff? And she said, oh, they're nice before he gives them to me.
I love it.
Yeah. So
less important, but today was also Employer Appreciation Day.
oh, I didn't feel it.
I don't know if that's like a global thing or if that was just at my work,
I
but
didn't hear about
No, it's a
that.
global thing.
oh, okay.
So like, we're all like, well, our bosses didn't tell us shit about that.
Same.
Anyway, but yeah, long-term relationship with Scorsese. So that's another thing when people say like he doesn't ever, give roles to women and stuff. It's like, well, his probably main creative collaborator's been a woman for like 30, 40 years. So
Right.
whatever.
I mean, know your strengths. If he can't write well from a woman's perspective, then like, why should he just randomly put women into his movies? I don't know.
Yeah.
You'd have other sets of complaints of like, this was a poorly written woman. I don't know.
Well, that's what happened with The Irishman, where and people were complaining about like the specific amount of lines that Anna Paquin has.
Sorry, Ben, I hated that movie.
Anna Paquin is so good in it and has by far the most pivotal scene in it. I don't know if you guys heard something. I didn't hear anything.
I didn't see the movie.
It's great. I don't know anyone who disagrees. Yeah, there's a great scene where he's talking and it's just like a look that Anna Paquin gives him, and it's just fucking devastating. Great fucking movie. Oh my god, so good.
Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, one of the more like crushing, just really, I don't even have words to describe it. What's going on in that movie? Nero's great. Pesci is so good. Pacino's really good. So all that, I guess, is a good way to say Scorsese's still doing it, still making cool movies. Anything
That
else
we all love.
that we all love and no one disagrees. What didn't you like about The Irishman? I guess it's fair game to talk about it. Scorsese.
I thought it was a drag. It was a really long movie.
It's really long.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of boring scenes. It was just like a bunch of really old guys trying to be like, I feel like they were trying to play like more young gangster types.
Yeah.
Like weird hair dyes. I don't know. I wasn't really into it.
So I was definitely thinking in the beginning of The Departed, where it's the scene that's supposed to be in the early 80s or whatever. And Scorsese chooses to have Nicholson in shadow for most of it, even though you can still kind of see him. And I thought that was a more elegant solution than CGI de-aging.
Yeah.
Of just be like, you can kind of see him. And then not only does it sort of build up like, oh, he finally steps into the light when he delivers when you're on the end of the gun, what's the difference line.
Yeah.
And then the movie starts pretty much. Plus, you're supposed to be earlier. So if you just don't see him that well, you can't tell that he's going to look the same age 20 years later or however long it is.
Speaking of, we were talking about the beginning of the movie also before you got here.
Yeah.
In the scene where Costello's character goes to the convenience store type establishment, and there's the cashier who's, I don't know, a 40, 50-year-old guy, and then his young daughter is working behind the counter, and Nicholson or Costello's character asks the girl, have you had your period yet?
Yep. Normal thing to do.
What do you think of that scene? Do you think there were sexual implications behind that, or do you think it was just an entire power move? Like, look at like this big, powerful guy. I can treat your daughter this way, and you're not going to do shit about it.
Yeah, I think it's that too, because he says like, "Oh, she's turning into a fine young woman" or whatever, and then he follows it up by asking if she's had her period yet. So that's obviously the implication, but it's something sexual. But I think the point is because he's just the king, right? He's like.
Now that we're talking about it too, though, like right after that, he whispers something in her ear and she kind of smiles a little bit. So I almost feel like he said like something to be like, "Oh, I'm just fucking with your dad," or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like he clearly said something that wasn't as upsetting to her as the first comment. I don't know. Like
It could have been anything.
it could have been
It could have
anything.
just been like, "I think you're beautiful." And she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty."
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, and there's
It was
some.
disgusting though.
Because then right after that, he gives the kid a bunch of food and shit. I don't know. Weird.
The thing like
Weird dynamic.
what year did this movie come out?
2006.
2006. I feel like if this movie was made this year, it wouldn't make it
No.
at all.
What do you mean?
So just to like personally, who I am as a person now versus who I was when this movie came out. When the movie came out, I watched the whole thing and I wasn't as like appalled from things. But the second time around, like the whole first like 20 minutes, I was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? This is disgusting. Like this person is like, wait, how are they saying this and doing this stuff? Like,
I don't think they get away with saying homo as much as they did.
or the N-word?
Or the N-word. I think that like it wouldn't be like, especially filmed it. That's why I was thinking it was filmed back. Like it was supposed to be an 80s perspective, but like thinking about it, like, no, people talk like that back in 2006, but
People
like,
talk like that now,
to some extent. Yeah,
Yeah.
depending where you are.
I think cops still call each other homos, probably.
that's fair.
I mean, half of America.
Yeah, I don't really buy that this movie wouldn't be made today. There's crazy shit getting made.
I don't think it would make it as much.
So what do you mean by make it?
Like you can't say half the
think it'd
shit
be a
they said in
different
this movie and have it be like treated the way this movie was.
I don't
Like
know.
what other movie is saying like some of the similar stuff like that and is successful?
I will say it was weird to hear the N-word coming from Jack Nicholson and the F word that is a gay slur. Like
Yeah.
you don't hear those in movies as much nowadays as you did back
okay.
then.
So
for
I
sure.
think there'd be maybe there'd be some small changes, but
Yeah, no, I don't think that means the movie wouldn't
Yeah,
work
yeah,
today,
yeah.
but
yeah.
Working probably isn't fair. It just wouldn't have been made in the same way. I think is probably.
Yeah, I just don't think they would have gotten away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, all these guys suck though. You're not supposed to think like these are good guys and
Yeah, but
behavior you should emulate.
Still, just because it's being like publicly shown, I feel like it wouldn't. There
There was even
there would be-
pushback on Django,
That's
and
what
like
I'm
it was
saying, yeah.
absolutely necessary for them
Well,
to do that in
and
Django.
that's a Tarantino thing. He has a long history of putting himself in the movie and saying the N-word a bunch,
Gotcha.
seemingly just for fun.
Gotcha. I mean, specifically for that movie, though, if you're gonna do a movie like that about that period of time, you
Yeah.
have to. It just wouldn't be authentic.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a good portrayal of what happened if you edited all that out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, so in theory, Jack Nicholson's character was 70 in 2006. So that would mean he was born in the 40s or 30s. So he definitely grew up in some different times.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and he's based on, Whitey Bulger also was an informant and partially based on Whitey Bulger since it's an adapted movie anyway. There's
Famously extra racist.
yes. And was an FBI informant, right? It was FBI, right? I know he's an informant. I think it was FBI.
Yeah.
And I think at the time that this movie came out, they didn't know where he was. He's since been found, put in prison, and was immediately brutally murdered.
Yep.
Jack Nicholson.
Whitey Bulger.
I think that was 2013.
Yeah, it was definitely after 2006. It wasn't that long ago.
I don't know who that is. I just saw in like 10 facts about the movie that
Yeah.
that's who the character is based off of.
Winter Hill Gang in Boston. And I don't know the details, so I'm not going to say shit, but he was like the main like really famous Boston gangster, was an FBI informant, and his handler helped him basically go into hiding.
Oh, okay.
Was the town about that too? About Bulger? There was another movie.
No,
about
the
it.
town was about Charleston guys, but I'm sure there's some influence there because it's the biggest, gang leader guy in Boston.
There was definitely a specific White Bulger movie, though.
Oh, that was Black Mass.
Black Mass. Okay.
Johnny Depp, everyone's favorite.
I'm glad you brought up The Town, though, because it was one movie I thought about when watching this movie. And I feel like The Town force-fed Boston a little bit more than this movie force-fed Boston.
Yeah, I mean, it has a climactic shootout at Fenway Park and stuff.
Exactly.
So,
I've actually never seen it.
I mean, there
Town's
was a
cool,
lot
man.
of Boston /
I don't know
Massachusetts
if I've seen
references in this movie, but I feel like The Town just had
yeah.
so many that it was...
The Departed mostly filmed in New York. Obviously, the shots of the State House and other major landmarks, establishing shots and shit in Boston, but mostly filmed in New York, though it's still got a Massachusetts tax credit. I think the film tax credit in Massachusetts has been stronger since then. And that's why so many movies have actually been filmed in Boston. But I could be wrong. But I think it was around then that it gets instituted. I don't know.
Oh, I think I saw
Could be
some
wrong.
of this movie.
Oh, yeah, The Town's really good. So that's Affleck. So Damon gets this one. Affleck gets The Town. Jeremy Renner's really good in that movie.
It's also a good movie, but not nearly to the quality of this one.
It's all the
I'd probably
nun masks,
agree.
right?
One time when I was walking home,
Oh, I thought you were joking.
No, I think they all wear nun masks, right?
yeah,
in the
Yeah.
town.
there's none.
I thought you were saying it wasn't as good because of all the masks. I didn't hear the nun part. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe.
There's like none masks in this. There's zero masks,
Nun
and I
masks.
needed them.
It's like, how many masks? None.
Yeah, exactly. I always think about that. There's a form of Japanese theater called no theater, and you're like, oh, there's no theater in Japan? No, there's no theater. Whatever.
Who's on third?
Yeah, exactly. So all the best Abbott and Costello bits, and that from that time they met Frankenstein. Oh shit! I remembered one time I was walking to the T stop from school, and I went by the AMC on Boston Common, and they had a red carpet for The Town. The Town was about to premiere, and there was like a red carpet and shit. I was like, oh shit, is Ben Affleck going to be here? Jeremy Renner, John Hamm, maybe. John Hamm doesn't have anything else to do.
I love John Hamm.
Love John Hamm. And it actually, Mad Men might have been still on TV at that point, but whatever. And it was just Ben Affleck's mom.
You probably could have
That's
just
who-
walked on, man.
That's who the
Hi,
red
I'm
carpet
Ben.
was there for. It was just Ben Affleck's mom attending the Boston Common AMC. So all this month we're going to end by talking about the movie in terms of the Oscars. I think we probably got about 20 minutes of content this episode.
Oh, man.
No, I'm kidding. Probably about an hour and change.
Wait, I have one talking point before you do
Oh
that.
yeah, go for it.
How do you guys feel about the therapist as an actual therapist?
Bad,
horrible.
real bad.
Horrible.
She
yeah.
was
Yeah.
just as
Real
fucked up as
bad.
everyone else in that
I don't think
movie.
you're supposed to fuck your clients.
Oh,
Well,
she's the
I don't know.
worst.
She
You're the
transfers
therapist,
him.
He wasn't her client.
Yeah,
It was
Cory.
literally
Oh,
as she
sorry.
said, "I'm going to transfer you." He said, "Then let's go on a date." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm free right now."
Well, yeah, but if you look at it, the only two patients we saw, she fucked them both.
Damon wasn't a patient though. He just saw her in the elevator.
Okay. I thought he was actually seeing her too.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
No, but like still, she just was not a great. She's like, I shouldn't be giving you this prescription. You've seeked a bunch.
Here's 2. That's not enough. Here's 20.
She's like, you've met the definition of drug seeking behavior. Here's your drugs. Like, that's not the answer.
Well, she wants that freedom to do all those things. That's why she's not working at a better place, right? The point's made many times, like, oh, why are you working here? You have all these like advanced degrees and shit. You could be doing this somewhere else. She's like, well, sometimes I just gotta fuck one of them. I don't know.
The other thing was
I gotta prey on these vulnerable men.
so Leo during the appointment, like when she wouldn't give him the drugs, she's like, "Well, then just give me a bottle of alcohol and a gun so I can go home and shoot myself."
She
And
should
then
have
on his way out,
committed him.
he's like,
And then she goes, well, then fucking get out of here.
Then on the way out, he's like, "Yeah, what if I went home and fucking did that? What do you think about that?" And she was like, all right, here's a prescription for drugs."
And then he's like, if I take these, is it enough to kill me? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you just
She's like, yeah,
send him to crisis. He needs to go to crisis.
She's like, "Good one." That's 2 suicide jokes in the last 2 conversations we've had.
with no laughing on his part.
No, just a kind of like maniacal behavior to go along with it. Yeah, no, she was the worst.
Because in her head, she was like,
Yeah, she's not a good therapist.
I love this dude.
Well, yeah, how couldn't you?
It's a Leo. I mean, one last thing too.
Yeah.
I love how the ending was just a big like, what the fuck? Oh shit! What? No! Wow! And then there's just like one little rat just going across the screen.
Do you get it?
Yeah,
Do you get
Boston
the
has a lot of
metaphor?
rats.
That's exactly right. He's trying to highlight a big infrastructure problem.
I definitely like went to look up because I wanted to understand exactly how the envelope played in, like how she. So I like looked up the end of The Departed explained, and I just found a bunch of articles about explaining what the rat meant, and I was just like,
People
wow,
need clicks.
wow, like I get what the rat meant, people.
That's the most obvious part of the movie.
It was just like this. There wasn't even a metaphor here. It was just like they're both rats. I don't know what you.
I thought it was more humorous than anything. It was like, oh, rat.
Yeah, people do have over the years kind of dunked on Scorcese for that shot, but
I actually didn't like that shot either. I was
yeah,
gonna say.
people are like, come on, this movie's so good, and you end on like the
I thought it was-
cheesiest thing.
I thought it was comedic relief.
I don't think it's supposed to be comedic.
Oh, well,
I think he's trying to play it genuine, but I mean, he's a lot smarter at this than I am, so maybe he's not. I don't think it's any good, but I do think it's like it's so part of it. It's like such a part of it that I'm, I've seen rats in the State House several times.
It was fine.
Cockroaches,
I just didn't think it
mice.
needed any explanation. I can't believe people needed to Google. Like, what did you think the rat was a secret agent or something? Like, what else do you need
The rat
here?
kills the
The
last
rat's a
dude.
metaphor.
The rat's gonna report him.
Yeah, I didn't even think.
Dude,
that.
kid, I just finished this Boston movie. Some fucking rat shows up at the end. What's that about? Good apartment just doesn't exist in real life, unfortunately.
So it was just somebody's office they made to look like an apartment, apparently.
Yeah, or it's I don't know if it's the there is like a library and event space that Suffolk has right around that height.
Oh, I
At
guess
that
you could-
angle?
you could just like set up fake walls and
Yeah.
build whatever you want.
I think it's just the apartment is whatever, and then they have the shot, and then the shot's just in the background. You know what I mean?
Oh, like kind of like cut the two scenes together.
Yeah, I
kind of
think
thing.
so.
Some buildings
But
have like
I could be wrong.
like production floors where they just set up productions there and have it like pretty empty. Like It's
Oh.
Always Sunny uses a bunch of those.
Gotcha.
don't
Especially
know
if you have like a
podcast,
really
but-
good like shot, you can just.
Yeah, they just like have it basically like ready to be built upon. Like a base. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Christy and I debated a little bit after we watched the movie. How did you think that Leo's handlers, what were their feelings towards him? Do you think that they were overly, I can't, what's the opposite word of cautious?
Oh,
Careless.
reckless.
Do you think they were overly reckless with their use of him? Do you
Yeah.
think- how much do you think they cared about his safety? Because I felt like they did genuinely care about his safety. And Christy felt that they were just so tunnel visioned on getting Costello that they kind of put Leo's
I-
safety as a secondary.
Among
I
Chris's
think
side.
I think Queenan was worried about it, but was more concerned with feeling like he really did think he was this close, and he's like, you just got to push through it.
I think towards the end, and like right when he was like he got pushed off the building, he realized he went too far. But I think I think Wahlberg didn't give a shit, and I think Quinnen, whatever, he was tunnel visioned, and then like he got like that sobering moment of like, all right, we got to get you out of here, and then it was just too late.
See,
Yeah.
I don't know. My take is I think that it was more of a bravado on Wahlberg's part. And that I think that he really did care about Leo's safety deep down. I think he was fucking hurt and pissed when he found out that Leo got shot.
And
I
that's
think
why
it
killed-
tapered-
That's an interesting take.
Yeah.
I
I think
think-
they didn't care at first, and then more like they started caring more and more, like Robbie said.
I generally agree, but I think Wahlberg really should have reached out after Queenan died.
Yeah, I was very
that's-
surprised there was no contact after that.
huge oversight on his part.
I figured Leo's next move, like after Damon answered the phone, Damon. Did I fuck that up? No, Damon answered the
you got
phone.
it.
He would have just went to Wahlberg and been like, "Yo, what the fuck's going on here? This guy just answered Quentin's phone." You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's weird that Leo didn't have a direct contact to Mark Wahlberg, that he didn't reach out to immediately.
Yeah.
He was just like asking to put him on the line.
And then especially when he was like, "Oh, he's gone," and I'd been like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna like." He knew where the chief detective lived. He probably had an idea where the other guy lived. You know what I mean?
So he couldn't have just checked like the white pages,
right? Like,
found his home phone number, and been like, "Hey, this is pretty serious."
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Wahlberg's whole character was like completely driven by emotion, and I feel like he was just completely blind. I think he really looked at Queenan. What's the character's name? Queenan.
Yeah.
Queenan as a mentor type of figure and like a fatherly figure to him, at least on the force. And then he was just so hurt by that when he got killed that he probably wasn't really looking at things with a level head.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about the best way to continue their mission to get
I still would have
Leo
called him.
out safely.
Well, I think too, like now that I think about it, Leo didn't reach out either because he had already threatened to delete his file. And like he probably didn't think this guy gave one single solitary shit about him.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, for sure.
That
Yeah.
kind of clears that up.
That's true.
One thing that we didn't really touch on too much, it sets up Queenan as the father figure that Bill doesn't have. And obviously much more sets up Nicholson as a kind of father figure to Colin, Matt Damon's character. I don't know if he said Colin more than once or twice, so I should just keep saying Matt Damon. I don't know. It's well done. I think you see the familial relationship there, and it's funny. Right as Costello's dying, that's when Matt Damon kind of calls him out on like when he's about to say like you're like a son to me. He's like not a son to you.
Well, and then so I thought it was. I'm glad you mentioned that because I thought it was like so cutting when Leo's character was like, and he was recording every bit of you, and you know who his lawyer trusted the most after he died? Fucking me.
Yeah.
And like that was
that
just
was
such
so
a
good.
that was such a good
Yeah.
moment.
Yes.
I'm glad like that came up
For sure, yeah.
Stab in the gut.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, because of what Matt Damon tells Costello, I don't know why we're gonna say full name Matt Damon every time. He thinks that of everyone, he knows that Leo isn't the rat. Out of everyone, he is sure that Leo's not the rat.
It was very funny.
Yeah, this whole month will be, coming around to at the end of the episode talking about the Oscars in relation to this movie. We touched on it a little bit earlier, the narratives going into it, but just brass tacks. It gets nominated for 5: Best Picture, Director, Performance by a Supporting Actor for Wahlberg, Adapted Screenplay by William Monahan, and Film Editing for Thelma Schoonmaker. Wins all of those besides Wahlberg, so it wins 4.
That must feel bad.
I know, right? This is happening 2 years after Scorcese went up against Clint Eastwood and lost picture and director to Clint Eastwood. In 2004, when Scorsese had The Aviator and Eastwood had $1 Million Baby.
Great movie. That's one of my favorites of all time too.
Yeah, and this is like a rematch in 2006. Well, for the 2006 season, obviously the ceremony in 2007. We all know that. Scorsese has The Departed. Clint Eastwood has Letters from Iwo Jima, both again nominated for director and picture, but Scorsese takes both in the rematch. So yeah, we think maybe DiCaprio didn't want to win a supporting actor before a best actor, so he doesn't campaign, or the official line is that he didn't want to overshadow his castmates. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, Robbie. So out of 5 severed hands, 1 to 5, what do you give this movie?
4 severed hands and a thumb.
Nice. Nice.
Nice.
It's about a 4.2. Maybe 4.25. Thumb's a little bigger.
And so I figured give it a heavier weight.
What about you, Pat? 5 out of 5?
Yeah, I mean the only negative thing I could say is some of the accents were a little cheesy, but other than that,
Yeah.
I can't really say a negative word about the movie.
I give it a 4.5.
What counts as 0.5?
Probably about. I'd give
Pointer
it
and
a
a thumb.
thumb and a pointer. Yeah.
Thumb to point. The thumb counts for more. I agree.
Yeah. And the pointer is just so useful that it counts a little bit more.
So from all the accents, all the whatever else is going on, I don't know. This movie just is not able to be objectively viewed by me. So yeah, let's do a full 5 digits on this one.
Full. You give it a 5 out of 5?
Sure, yeah.
Oh,
so
I'm
so did
surprised.
Pat.
No, I know, but I didn't expect you to give it.
Yeah, like I'm saying. I mean, it's just like I like that some of the accents are bad. It gives us something to talk about. I don't know.
I'm a pretty harsh
It's all
critic,
part
dude.
of
This
it.
is like literally one of my favorite 5 movies of all time.
No, that's why I knew
Yeah,
you
yeah.
would say 5 out of 5. It's like your favorite.
Yeah, no, I love this. But this movie's so freaking watchable.
Yeah.
Man, it's just really dope. This is a kind of weird year at the Oscars. This is seen, I think, in hindsight, as a sort of weaker year. They're still only doing 5 Best Picture nominees.
Wow,
That's nothing.
that's crazy.
Yeah, so it's kind of like meh. That's
10
going to
this year, right, Ben? 10.
full 10 this year. First time that they're actually doing 10. They, after The Dark Knight didn't get nominated, they expanded it to be up to 10, between 5 and 10. And this is the first year that they're saying it has to be 10. And I think it's good. It gives you a lot more variety. This year, the Departed is probably the correct winner, I would say, but it's not movies that people think about too much anymore, even if they're by some really interesting people. So you got The Departed, which wins. Also, Babel, Letters from Iwo Jima, Little Miss Sunshine, and The Queen.
I've only ever seen Little Miss Sunshine out of those.
I saw Little Miss Sunshine and Letters to Iwo Jima.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is still fucking Best Director nominees. That's when, that's this year where Paul Greengrass for United 93 sneaks in. So Little Miss Sunshine's the one that doesn't get into Best Director. I think this one's a pretty easy one.
So.
No. Yeah, that was almost certainly the one.
Some of these don't hold up super well. Some of the other wins. No one gets in for Best Actress, but that's Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada. Loses to Helen Mirren in The Queen as the Queen. Yeah, that's, I don't know. That should be a Meryl win. If we're
Devil Wears Prada is a great movie.
Come on.
I'm a man. I love that movie.
Come on. No one in this movie's in Best Actor. That's when Forrest Whitaker wins for Last King of Scotland, playing Idi Amin.
That was a big upset, though. Who did he win over?
Leo in Blood Diamond, Ryan Gosling in Half Nelson, Peter O'Toole in Venus, and Will Smith in The Pursuit of Happiness.
That's it. That was the Will Smith upset.
Yeah, Will Smith transitioning into the please give me an Oscar phase of his career, which perhaps is culminating in just a week or two.
Fingers crossed.
Where it seems like he's probably going to win the Oscar. So
he still hasn't won one? That's bullshit.
Well,
The Pursuit of Happiness was really his best shot out of everything in his career, I think.
Well, now with King Richard, it seems like he's
up to now.
He is a runaway favorite at the moment. So yeah, I think the stuff that Departed wins for probably should have won for. It maybe would have felt weird if Wahlberg wins there, but I think that's the year that people are assuming Eddie Murphy in Dreamgirls is going to take it, and he doesn't, and I think he's still mad.
Wait, who won that year?
That was when Alan Arkin won for Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
But, you could have had Eddie Murphy and Dreamgirls there, and that would have been like a career acknowledgement. Yet, alas. Other big movies this year, you got Children of Men. Borat is this year. Pan's Labyrinth is this year and should be in more categories.
I've never seen it.
Probably Guillermo del Toro's best.
I thought it was a Hellboy sequel.
No. That'd be Hellboy's Labyrinth. You only got Hellboy and you got Hellboy the Golden Army. That's it.
Yeah.
Then the new one, but the new one's not Guillermo del Toro.
No problem.
So that brings us to the end of our Departed episode. How's your mother? What else do we want to make sure we get in at the very end?
Should we just play a bunch of gunshots and go dead?
Oh, yeah. You guys die. I got to do some quick plugs. You can find us on...
We're going to have to go 3 streets over for that.
Barely. You can find us on Instagram at late2themovies_pod. That's the number 2, not 2 spelled out. Same deal with the Gmail account. That's late2themovies@gmail.com. You can send Noah lots and lots of emails there. You can go to TeePublic to get our t-shirts, plural, because now there's a new one. It's got Greg's face on it.
And this episode's sponsored by Stamps.com. Not really, but if we say it a bunch, maybe they'll sponsor us.
Oh, or we'll get a cease and desist and have to close the podcast forever. Either way.
Or Squarespace, another common podcast sponsor.
Yeah, I feel like they'll sponsor it. Squarespace, hit us up.
Yeah.
Or
we're not
NordVPN.
affiliated or sponsored by
No,
anything.
it's just Ben. We're here for the ride, but just send an email to that email.
If you don't want anyone to know you're listening to this podcast, NordVPN is for you.
If you want Ben to feel like he has international viewers.
And if you want everybody to know you're listening to this podcast, Internet Explorer is for you.
Well, the podcast is coming to the end, but so are we all. Act accordingly. Thanks for being on the podcast, guys.
Good to see you, Ben.
You too, Pat.
No
Thanks for having
problem,
me
kid.
again.
No problem.